I really knew that it was my moment. On her TikTok, she now has over 100,000 videos of
Wow, my
people
congratulations.
using the filter. Yeah, TikTok has a bit more of a like promotion advantage. It actually pushes your filter by itself. You can get 1 million views like not promoting it at all. With Instagram, it has a bit more of a technological complexity that allows us to do things that are a bit more sophisticated. One day I just decided, like, let me reach out to all the best makeup artists in the world. So I sent out an email with this artist. Her name is Val Garland, and many of you may know her from Glow Up. She's one of the hosts on the
BBC show, yeah.
That's right. So we made her first filter. AR and VR exist in different parallels. VR is usually considered to be metaverse. So VR is the next hot thing, but then AR is probably going to win. Because anything that happens to your business is happening because of you. And most of the time, you can't really blame anybody for that.
That's true.
What does this teach you, right? Like, what is the benefit of this happening to you? Of course, this is tough and it may crush you. Yeah, but it's not a reason to leave and give up and just stop believing in people and stop believing in your business. Like, don't feel like you need to get focused on one career path and go as hard as possible on that. Like, especially if you're young and if you're in the beginning, choose ways that just attract you. You have an idea, you think it's better than what you're doing now, go there.
Hi, this is She Did It Show, and I'm your host, Daria Mudrova. Today, I'm so happy to introduce you my guest, Sofi Chernyak. Sofi is a digital makeup artist, the founder and CEO of an augmented reality design studio, MaquillAR, and an editorial makeup artist. Her augmented reality clients include top beauty and fashion brands such as Lushify, Numero magazine, and artists like Val Garland and Aaron Parsons. Her most recent digital project for Sofi Chernyak was gained over 64 million impressions, and her makeup portfolio includes publications in Vogue, ID, and New York Times Style, as well as work for brands like Versace, LaPerla, and Rebag. Hi, Sofi. I'm so happy to see you today in our studio. Thank you so much for coming, and I'm excited by your work, what you do, and I would love to talk with you today about your experience working with augmented reality, about your portfolio, about your amazing projects and your entrepreneurship way in New York City, how you did it.
Thank you so much, Dasha. I'm really excited to be here too, and can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, let's start from the beginning before we dive deep to details. Augmented reality and virtual reality. What's the difference?
Yeah, that's a one-on-one question. So augmented reality is an experience of the real world with the addition of digital elements. And the virtual reality on the other side is experience of completely digital world. So they hardly coexist, but they are kind of similar. You still design 3D objects and maybe avatars and different like technical driven experiences to make those VR and AR projects happen.
So if someone wants to be an AR digital makeup artist, how he can do that?
Okay, so in my experience, you should first start with understanding and learning how to code with JavaScript. 3D design is very important, animation, of course the entire Adobe suite, and this all just becomes the fundament for what your future work with AR will be. Just kidding. So, in reality, my path was different.
Okay.
In reality, my path was different. I started as a makeup artist and then shifted into the digital space. So, of course, all those technical aspects are extremely important, will give you the edge in being able to make things. But in order to become an AR makeup artist, first ask yourself, like, how do you become an artist? like what does it take for you to express something in any format, and what does that medium inform your work like? So it really doesn't matter like what you choose to do. If you want to call yourself an artist, just start making things. And then if you want to be a makeup artist, of course, the experience with working with faces is really important. But transitioning into the digital space, like I would say, if you want to do that, don't feel discouraged by the mass of technology that you will be facing. Start making work from, you know, like if you work with a drawing on paper, start doing that. Start thinking of how you would do it on a face. But it will be inspired by the digital environment. And then once ideas form within your head, maybe find a technical way to bring it in. Ask somebody for help if you don't know how. Or if you do know how, then you can even start working with Photoshop and 3D programs to like inspire your project. But you know, don't feel discouraged by technology and just start making work like you would making any type of artwork.
Yeah, so actually you started your way as makeup editorial artist, and then you became digital makeup artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you created your own company, MaquillAR Design Studio. What inspired you to do that?
So, yeah, it wouldn't be a surprise to say that I shifted into digital when COVID came.
All right.
Yeah, there was a moment when I had just a bit of extra time and desire to experiment. So that was my first step in exploring, at the time, so-called Spark AR, now called Meta Spark. It's a platform designed by Facebook to create filters. So I started working with that, and on the first day I made something beautiful, but in making that I realized I'm completely incapable in making anything else. I knew that I needed a guide into this world because I precisely was not extremely technological. So then I found a teacher, second teacher, and with their help I gained confidence in both like the fundamentals of how to work with materials and how to work with visual coding. So that really kind of gave me the first steps in getting a bit more comfortable in that space. And then I was able to decide that, you know what, I want to be faster. I didn't feel like I had years to study. And it may sound superficial, but I really knew that it was my moment. And when it was just beginning, I wanted to get myself out there and bring my ideas to life. So what helped me was deciding that I don't have to know everything about 3D, everything about animation. I'll bring a team together and I make it in a slightly different way. But the team will enable me to stay on track, be inspired, and also just bring my ideas to life.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And I'm happy that pandemic made you make this step to virtual reality from the real makeup. And you set up your company. So tell a little bit more about that, how it works, what you're working on.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Like, I've never built a business before. And so in general, we make AR for beauty brands and fashion brands. We also make augmented reality for artists that we like, and other type of collaborations. Usually we work with face, but it's not what we're limiting ourselves to. We can do 3D animation. We even tried making a metaverse project, for instance. It was a project, yeah, with Valda Beauty, and her brand is fantastic. She sells $200 lipsticks that are in a way kind of like sculptures. So yeah, the packaging is absolutely fantastic. That's why it's so expensive, and it's kind of like a collector piece. So because her brand is so strong in this kind of, you know, dream-like communication about who they are, we wanted to bring it to life and also allow people to be a part of it. So we created this metaverse, a 360 environment within the filter, and also on the other side of the filter, you could flip the camera, and then you would see yourself as an avatar of sort within that like mystical world. It was kind of a desert with copper mountains and like pink clouds, and on the other side you wore this like gold-winged goddess that represents all the beauty. So it was really fun, and really to say that we're just making our filters would be limiting. So there's really kind of like anything we can do. We can build the world just like that.
Yeah, it's what I like, because I mean, everyone was familiar from 2016 with like the dog face filters from Snapchat, and then Instagram picked up that, but it was mostly, I would say, first steps, it was beautification part. So people wanted, but now it seems it's the whole new, you can create the whole new world where you could put your customer and to communicate with your brand and to interact with your brand.
Yeah.
Right? You work with fashion and beauty brands, you mentioned, and such an amazing project like creative entrepreneurs, influencers, and makeup artists. Yeah. Any like exciting projects which are not fashion and beauty? What else which other brands could consider AR, augmented reality, as the instrument, as a marketing tool? What will be that?
Yeah, so I guess we do focus on beauty and fashion just because of my background, and this is kind of our edge and ability to really stand out from other developers or studios. But yeah, any brand can consider that, because AR is, for instance, we also are speaking to lots of musical artists. That's kind of a completely different outlet, but in a way, I believe that AR enables communication with your audience, and that is core. There's like, doesn't really matter what industry you're in. If you want to create a conversation around who you are, and you want to hear your audience, and you want to be heard by your audience, and you want to create this kind of collaboration aspect at scale, with millions and millions of views and thousands of engagements, then AR is a tool for you. There is really no limitation to creativity that can be put into that, as long as like the general drive is to like engage the audience and let them explore.
Yeah, and as well, I see that there are different types of filters, right? It's like face, you can create the whole reality. Also, you can do gamification. So what will be the most interesting type of filters, let's call it like that, which people could do on Instagram or TikTok?
So
like
most
makeup.
interesting, I think it comes down to personal taste. But I feel like for me, what really inspires me is the aspect of collaboration. And of course, you can go very, very far into creativity and create worlds that are completely unbelievable, and I feel like there's so much value to that, and I'm truly inspired and driven by this fascination with like technological experiences that are just so otherworldly and unattainable in reality. I feel like that's super interesting, and not many people have yet been able to explore it with like
You're
VR.
a pioneer.
Yeah. Not the only one, but we're looking at that direction. But also another side of things, besides the exploration, there is this kind of human connection that is created through augmented reality. And I think that, apart from filters that originally came with like beautification aspects, now it actually highlights the best parts of social media, where it's really about performance and your true self and self-discovery and kind of freedom in front of the camera. So
you just mentioned like this aspect as beautification. I actually once, and while I was writing an article for Cosmopolitan, and I was mentioning some research which was about the influence of beautification filters on mental health of the users. So that was some evidence that people went to real surgeries, plastic surgeries, and they had unrealistic expectations of their body in the real world, and that kind of caused some mental problems. How would you reply to that question, and how your studio works in that direction?
Yeah, I would say I totally agree and believe that this is harmful, because we may think we're adults and we are able to make decisions for ourselves, and we know what's best, and we will not be harmed by things if we're aware of them. Doesn't always necessarily stand true, especially for young people. So in our mission of our studio is really to create more filters that are focused on experimentation and self-discovery rather than putting yourself in a beauty box.
Oh, I like it, yeah.
Yeah, but also actually have a personal story that kind of supports my belief in these things needed to be regulated. So I studied art history and studio art after I did makeup. And I was once making a painting. And before that, while I was doing makeup and working in the editorial world in New York, I always believed that my vision was, it's not about like making everyone the same, it's about finding the uniqueness in everybody. And as an artist, I always stood by that, and I wanted to bring out unique stories within each person's face. But when I started making this painting, it was this big, like almost my height painting. It's a portrait of a woman, a very zoomed in, but in a very soft pastel colors. And I realized that when I was painting, I was like, that's kind of empty. Let me start filling it more. So I started putting more faces into it, but it was like very subtle. So it was almost like a game to find faces in it. And when I was working on this and I finished and I looked at it with a critical eye and I was like, wait, what am I seeing? I saw all the faces being extremely beautified. And I knew that it came from my hand. Like, while I always told everyone it's not about the average beauty standard, it's about who you are, it's about like making your unique mark. Then out of my hands came something that was just like almost a copy paste of a perfect face. I was like, no, this is terrible. I knew that I was consciously always thinking about the beauty standards. But then they actually penetrated into me regardless of whatever I thought or told people. So I think this type of things, like whatever we see in front of our eyes, is much more powerful than we think. And there are many studies supporting that too, but for me that was just mind-blowing. I was like, wow.
Wow, yeah. That's actually fascinating, yeah. So, and your studio, right, I see lots of filters which are focused not on beautification at all, but on the self-expression.
Yeah.
It seems like you work with artists or you work with the company, brand or creator, and you go from their personality aspects and you create something. Like in the last Halloween filter, you had an amazing, actually it was a YouTube video about that, how you created with Sofi Chernyak, yeah. And you did first the makeup on her face. You went through her favorite like objects, and then you created like these amazing filters.
Yeah, that was a fantastic project. We just released it, and it was super fun to see both from, of course, the creation aspect and from the aspect of how people would receive this type of collaboration. Yeah, like in her case, we aimed to focus on something that would really engage the audience and make it fun and simple enough, but also very creative and open. So yeah, it was an absolute success because on her TikTok, she now has over 100,000 videos of people
my congratulations.
using the filter. Yeah,
and like you have lots of impressions also on this.
Yeah, like lots of impressions. But what is really important is like how people engage with it. That filter was a randomizer, so we had like about 5 looks cycling through, and then it gives you one, like for instance, an alien look, and then many people went to recreate it. So of course not all 100,000 recreated the look with the real makeup, but a good percentage of them. And I feel like that's the purpose of filters. It's like you would never have worn something like this. You would have never experienced bleached eyebrows. You would have never experienced like yourself fully covered in gemstones. Like, and now it's at your fingertips, and it suddenly feels cool, and it feels yours. It feels like it could be a part of you.
You just try it first, you see how it looks, and then you repeated that. And you inspired people to experiment with their appearance. Actually, if we go a little bit more deep to technical aspect of, you just mentioned like, for example, in this collaboration you had TikTok and you had Instagram filters. And there were like stories filters, there are Reels filters, there are TikTok. What's the difference? And if someone, for example, considered to create the filter, they should first choose the platform, then they should choose the segment in which they want to do that.
Yeah, so if you're talking to a brand, for instance, then you probably will start from what kind of audience they have. And they say there's kind of an Instagram generation and TikTok generation, and they think kind of differently.
Like age differently.
Yeah. And it's also like aesthetics. Like, do you want to be silly in front of the camera, or do you want to be perfect in front of the camera? Those are kind of like the two different mindsets that those platforms have phrased within our minds. So first, when you decide on a platform, like consider what generation are you mainly speaking to, and then once you know that, you probably will already know where it's the biggest crowd on. But in terms of like technicality and how filters are used differently, like TikTok and Reels are very similar. They're pretty much the same. TikTok has a bit more of a like promotion advantage. It actually pushes your filter by itself. You can get 1 million views like not promoting it at all. But with Instagram, it has a bit more of a technological complexity that allows us to do things that are a bit more sophisticated. And also like in terms of stories or reels, you would use the same filters for both. They're not separated between the two types of posts, but it's kind of, just, I think, if you expect your audience to become performance and kind of if you're targeting influencer-like crowd, then definitely think Reels and TikTok. If you want to kind of like appeal to and just maybe gain the scale from like focus on the individual and their face and their uniqueness of the face, not maybe creativity around it, then think of like live promotions of the filters or stories.
Live videos, you mean? Oh, okay. It's also live videos. I actually didn't mention that. So you can put before doing some, some interview, what I like people do.
Yeah, you can use them on live too.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that.
But actually, that like decision doesn't stop there. Like you also want to consider like what's your final goal.
Right.
What are you trying to do with this? Because the filter can be promoted, but how does your product or does your brand really shine through that? So that's something that needs to be taken into account, and that really becomes an individual conversation with anyone that wants to make a filter.
Brand. Actually, you mentioned about the generations which you targeting in. What are the generation, for example, Gen Z, probably it's more TikTok. Let's say, Yeah, I
would probably say
like
so.
Instagram is a little older at some point. And it's more like, I feel like Instagram is more about beautification than TikTok. I have that impression. What do you think? Or it's not.
I think it's all kind of a similar menu of what you can do. Like if you want to just be beautified on TikTok, you totally can.
You can do
and
that
you will not be stopped by any kind of rules on it. But actually, Instagram has more like in some states in the US, like Texas, for instance, Instagram filters with certain beautification aspects are restricted. So yes, like I feel like culturally, you're right, but technically, it all kind of depends. And I think it really comes down to like unique positioning of the brand and their needs. And that's how we kind of work for them, like really dig deep into what their brand is about and who they want to create conversations with.
Actually, speaking about brands, not only fashion and beauty brands, which, for example, if we consider like any filter or any like AR reality, right? Augmented reality for She Did It. What will be that? I'm just curious. I really got curious maybe.
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. Rightly, you were asking like, how would you do it if you were not in beauty? Like, we have kind of templates for how to do it for beauty brands, like, but others,
right? It's like makeup, or it's like something on the face, right? When you speak about beauty. Yeah,
and even for beauty brands, sometimes this question comes up. Like, for instance, I get asked that from beauty veterans, like big brands who've been on the market for a while. Like, what would we do with this? And I feel like the same as I would answer to you, like with a brand that is not a beauty brand and the brand that has not existed like on the market since like last year, and for them it's not extremely natural to have this kind of technological side to them. So I think the question becomes less of a marketing question, more of a branding question. So it's really about answering what is your brand about. So what is your brand truly about?
Right. If we'll talk about about that, I would say I would love to empower women to do every day like the small steps towards their goal, and this is how maybe some stories of other women could inspire them and help them, and to realize that there were some challenges that everyone goes through, and maybe some advice from experts in the industry which could help them to reach their entrepreneurship goals and to succeed in whatever they do.
Yeah.
So that will be mostly about inspiration and about making them feel more inspired and supported.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's a great working point. I would like to highlight the idea of conversation, because this is something that AR can surely help with. Like, for instance, you create a filter that encourages other women to share, or maybe other entrepreneurs to share their stories. So think like, not every person in this world you're able to invite into the studio.
Right.
But through a filter, you can create a certain environment, or even at least like set a question that can open people up, and they will first of all feel like a part of She Did It show.
Wow, I didn't think about that. Actually.
Yeah, and then there will be their audience that discovers you. So it's not only about kind of getting known yourself, but also involving other people to bring the same value as your speakers bring to the show, but doing it at scale.
Wow, thank you. It's amazing. Like, for example, what is success for you? What's your tool to do like this and that?
Yeah. So, or maybe, this could also be like a bit interactive. So it's not just like a question giving me an answer, but everyone loves to share an opinion. Like,
that's true.
And also, if, for instance, if you like make a contest out of it, like you put this filter out there and people start answering questions, and the best answer gets to be on the show.
Wow, that's awesome! Thank you so much. I should consider that and maybe include it to marketing too to work, and also maybe to make guests to use this filter as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
before the show or after the show, to ask them to maybe like to answer some question or to share feedback.
Yeah,
that could be interesting actually. Yeah, just there are so many ways. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. Yeah, so
you inspire me to think about that, because I didn't think about that before.
Right. So like you would think like, oh, should we put our logo? Should we like?
Yeah, this is what I thought first.
Like, what do we do? There's like, we don't do
some
makeup.
Eyelashes.
Yeah, like what are you truly about? And then the idea just generates itself.
Yeah, to share experience really. Yeah, and to share how you did it.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. Wow, yeah, thank you so much. Actually, speaking about your studio, how do you collaborate with brands? What was the most interesting collaboration you would love to share?
Oh, there's so many.
I mean, everyone. Right?
Yeah,
something
and they're like, I would definitely love to drop some names, but I can't. So I'll maybe just tell you about one project I made about a year ago with this artist. Her name is Val Garland, and many of you may know her from Glow Up. She's one of the hosts on the
BBC show, yeah.
That's right. So we made her first filter, and she's also a very established makeup artist beyond Netflix.
And she was the global director of makeup L'Oreal.
Absolutely, yeah. She worked with Kate Moss, Lady Gaga. Like, she's one of the gods on the Olympus of makeup. And it was a fantastic collaboration. One day I just decided, like, let me reach out to all the best makeup artists in the world. So I sent out emails, and from them I got a response.
So you just decided, like, I will just reach out the best artists in the world?
Yeah,
wow, I love that.
Yeah, I just never go small, no.
And you just sent the mail?
Yeah, just emailed her agent, and then her assistant got back to me. And we started developing the idea. So it started as a mood board. They gave me the mood board, a bunch of images of her work or some related work. And there was one image they particularly loved. And I known her work from particularly her collaborations with Garrett Pugh. If you know, he's extremely avant-garde, like dark designer. So that was a perfect merge. I wanted to bring that like winged graphic eye look with gems, and also kind of add certain darkness to it.
Yeah, like these eyes, right?
Yeah, something she would do for Garrett Pugh, like for instance,
here.
yeah, in one of the shows she did this, like completely covered her eye. In one of the shows, she completely covered the eyes of models with black spheres. So it looked extremely freaky, and we kind of played around with a similar shape of the eyeliner, adding on top of that. So we ended up with like 4 looks, and we wanted to also let audience kind of adjust it. So there was ability to like remove the eyebrows, add the jeweled lip, remove that, and really kind of play and explore yourself. So that was a really fun collaboration, and especially like the freedom and ability to, you know, speak creatively to such a large artist. For me, it was mind-blowing.
Wow. I'm actually, I like that you just mailed her.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's just like that.
Yeah, it's always like you mail to, I don't know, like 100 people, you get 10 replies, like 3 of them, you have the best outcome, you have collaborations.
Yeah.
How do you cultivate your relations with your brands you work with? How do you reach, do you do like that always? You just mail?
Yeah, that's kind of our go-to strategy, because marketing is not simple for us, as our audience is extremely small. Like, we're talking to marketing directors of beauty, jewelry, fashion brands, like maybe some influencer agencies, PR agencies, and then our list with like, yeah, maybe 3,000 people in the world.
But the most influential people in this beauty industry. Yeah,
so with that group, like, it's the easiest way to target them is just really come to them and bring them something nobody has thought of, or there it's really about quality, not quantity. And actually, my first client, like, I wanted to tell this story. It's a client I can't share the name of, but about this like bravery and just not even thinking twice. When I started designing MaquillAR and making portfolio, I was looking up to this brand, and if there was one brand I wanted to work with in the world, it was them, because they inspired me, like, conceptually and creatively from the ground up.
It's like it's in the jewelry, right?
Yeah.
This one jewelry. Like, think about the top jewelry brands.
And they were the first brand I reached out to, and they were the first brand to say yes to me.
Really?
Yes. So it really, like, I have no patience at all. I'm like, let me just like make some stuff before we go there. We're like, no. We have no time to waste.
And you just mailed them, and they replied you yes.
Yeah.
So you regularly mail to marketing directors, to if it's a brand, and you try to reach marketing. Probably it's because it's a marketing tool.
Yeah. So it would be marketing, social media, digital departments, and PR maybe as well. Yeah. Because it's about like influencers a lot now.
Yeah, that's true. Do you work with influencers as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Sophia and I
Sophia, for example.
The same thing, like 12 a.m. thought that came to my mind, just wrote an email, and then next thing I know, like, she's flying into New York to do a video together. It was so cool.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Really just anyone, you know, as long as we see how we can help the brand, we're here for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned that you mail them. Did you experience any challenges reaching out to brands or doing the business with brands afterwards to keep maybe these clients for other collaborations?
Yeah, I think like developing long-term relationships is really important. And for instance, in 2 days, we're actually making a collaboration event with this company, SPATE. They're a trend forecasting company, and we're creating this event for like top executives in the beauty industry to talk about brands, try them all in augmented reality, and kind of like cultivate the relationship in a more personal way, because it's night and day in how people communicate with you if they're in front of your face versus outside of your screen. It's sometimes hard to get to the people through digital communication and just kind of get their attention. But when you are in a space that you yourself create, I'm so excited to see how it's going to turn out, because I've never done anything at such scale. Like, we have over 170 people coming, and
wow, congratulations.
yeah, so it's completely fantastic, and we're such, a young brand, but they're there to, have fun and enjoy life. So and learn something new, and we'll be there to help them out, and also just entertain them, and meet and hang out and just have a good time.
Yeah, actually, sometimes I see that brands, they do augmented reality on the big screens right at the events, and you can just come there. Like, is it a booth, or if it's a big event, it can be in just screen anywhere. So, and you can just interact with the brand, like wearing like the gems, for example, or doing some makeup, right? How that happens?
Yeah, so in our case, SPATE reached out to us asking that they wanted to animate the experience on their event, and then it turned into a bigger collaboration because we wanted to do more and more, and now some trends that they're outlining for 2023, it's just like an easy experience, like you were describing, a QR code you scan, and then it immediately brings you to the filter, and then you see a statistic of the brand growth, and then you also see what the brand actually feels like on your face.
Yeah, it's awesome. Actually, it feels like we are like on a step to virtual reality, like our reality. Then do you feel that it will develop to virtual reality, to metaverse beauty worlds, and the brand will use those tools as well later to promote their stuff?
So definitely metaverse is gaining a lot of interest, but if you're thinking of, is AR going to transfer, and if we're thinking if AR is going to become metaverse, I don't think it is. AR and VR exist in different parallels. So VR is usually considered to be metaverse. So actually anything is a metaverse. Zoom is a metaverse. A game on your computer is a metaverse. But nowadays, metaverse is usually described by virtual reality. And I must say that AR and VR, they're different conceptually. They're the opposites. Because AR is the addition to the real world, and VR is the world of itself.
So you kind of put yourself to that world, to the virtual world, and here like the virtual world like
enters into your
extends
space.
Your real world.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, in VR you almost deny the existence of reality, because it's supposed to mimic your existence somewhere else. And I think those things therefore kind of develop alongside, and many actually say that AR is going to be more popular than VR. But now I think we think of metaverse from VR perspective, because it's a next space that is technologically equipped to welcome people. Mm-hmm. Because that space is already well developed, like you can really feel like you're in an environment that you're not.
Because of video games. I mean, for example.
Yeah, video games and VR.
They're existing for so many years. Yeah, and it's actually.
Yeah. But in terms of future of AR, it's actually believed that AR will be less face-looking, more outward focused. So AR will be a reality for us once the AR glasses come along. And it will be much more organic way to enter into AR metaverse, just because it's already there. It's on your body, and it's like there organically. So VR is the next hot thing, but then AR is probably going to win.
I like it. Actually, right now, I mean, Tesla is using AR because they put this world, right? So they kind of integrate into reality with their technology. I feel like if it's going to be like that, and like the glasses, it's also AR, it's not VR. You're kind of like mixing up those realities.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Lenses, and who knows what will be in 10 years from now. We'll watch this episode of our show, and we'll be like, we're living in this world today.
Yeah, that's true.
We're putting glasses, and we don't need the phone, so just so many things.
Yeah, but still, I hope we will be in the same room.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to lose human connection. It's probably why I'm a bigger fan of AR too, is that you don't have to stop existing in reality to be a part of that, right? Like
it's actually healthier than VR when you're totally there. Yeah, you kind of like keep in connection with this world.
Yeah.
So do you experience any challenges doing business here in New York City? Oh, it doesn't matter in New York City, like just...
So I think the hardest thing is to realize that the business becomes a mirror of who you are. And what I mean by this is that you get to really discover who you truly are through that and what your weaknesses are. Because anything that happens to your business is happening because of you. And most of the time you can't really blame anybody for that.
That's true.
So anything there's something that's going wrong, anytime that you're feeling frustrated, you always can remind yourself, this is because of me. I didn't build it in a way that I wouldn't be frustrated. I didn't think of that, therefore I'm losing this job. I didn't put this contract in front of the person, so now my idea is stolen. There are other factors that can happen in the world, and of course, not everyone is nice to you. But there are always ways that you could have prevented something, or there are also ways for your mind and your intention to shape the reality. So if somebody steals your idea, or somebody...
Did that happen with you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or if somebody gets the job that you worked harder to get, what does this teach you, right? Like, what is the benefit of this happening to you? Of course, this is tough and
it's
it
a
may
lesson.
crush you. Yeah, but it's not a reason to leave and give up and just stop believing in people and stop believing in your business. Maybe for a moment it will be tough, but eventually you will come out stronger, understanding it, and maybe you can make even lemon out of lemonades. Sometimes a bad situation can be turned into a good situation if you really put your thought to it. So I think the biggest challenge is not even the outside factors that will continue testing you all the time. It's rather like your strength and your accountability and ability to, like float above that and kind of have more of a conceptual from the top view on anything that happens to you, less emotional.
Yes. Actually, you just mentioned that it happened that someone stole your... I mean, you work in the creative world, right? And it's like copyrights, it's an important part of that. Do you protect yourself from that? Or you just like send your ideas to your potential clients and you don't have a control over that later?
Yeah, so now I offer them to sign like a very simple document if they want specific ideas for free. Ideally, I would not want to do prototyping for free now. Besides, I wouldn't want to do prototyping for people who didn't ask me for that.
Okay.
So those are the lessons to learn in that situation. Mm-hmm. So first of all, just don't do free creative work for someone if you can technically be replaced. And secondly, just, if people are really willing to see what you have in mind, then they will probably be okay with signing a little paper that says that will not be taking that idea for free.
Wow. Do you want to name this company?
Definitely not.
No. Is it a big company?
Yes.
All right.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Well, I'm grateful for the lesson.
All right.
Yeah, honestly, it's fine, and I'm only
it just
one
proved
to blame.
that, I mean, if such a big company used your idea, I mean...
Yeah, really, it's a compliment, right?
It's a compliment.
So thank you on so many levels.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know, like, when you start a business, this is what I experience as well. If there are some moments when you feel like it's a failure, right, you can just blame yourself and just to, I don't know, maybe some other entrepreneurs can support you and just give you an advice. Do you use any support from other female entrepreneurs? Do you have any like communities you are involved with? Yeah,
so I'm not directly involved in communities that call themselves communities. I would say my family is just like the insane powerhouse of ideas. And speaking about female entrepreneurs, my mom, I learned so much from her. She works in fashion too, so from her experience of a top manager in the fashion industry, I'm able to really know how to communicate with people of the same level and understand their needs, understand their values. And besides, like, I learned so much from her just about sense of style and how to do things and how to think about things. So yeah, her help was fantastic. But in terms of other female entrepreneurs, not many. My other family members are fantastic, and I can come to them pretty much with any question. So I'm extremely fortunate with that, and maybe that's why I haven't been going out looking for a community that would support me, because if I had a problem with an email, one of my uncles would write the most exquisite email possible in his, like, not his first language. Another one would be a perfect person to ask about how to tell a story and just kind of like run my new business idea by. Or like my grandfather also now, like in his 80s, is able to like reshape his business entirely, and is also a big inspiration to me. And I've also definitely had mentors not from my family, and very grateful for their help and ability to kind of guide me towards understanding of what business really is. Like, for instance, Mo Shaikh, I worked with for about a year. Actually, I met him through my school, and he at the time worked at Facebook, and now he is building his own cryptocurrency.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so he is a real big businessman, and it was fantastic to have him guide me through, especially at such a immature stage as now I realize when I started working with him. So those people are really valuable to me, and I definitely now feel like I would want to help more people, and not necessarily even within the community, but kind of one-on-one help with brainstorming. And especially I think I could help creatives in more of a structural way of approaching their business, or pretty much anything. I feel like I've gained such a versatile experience, so I feel like you know, building a community around that would be fantastic.
Yeah, actually I'm excited, and you're so lucky to have such a supportive family and such a supportive surroundings, and it's precious. But how you started your way in New York City? I know that, you're from Russia, Moscow, and you came here not for a long time ago.
8 years ago, so whatever you consider a short time. But my path in New York started kind of, you know, without much thought. I came here with my mom. She got an O1 visa. So I was just, that was fantastic. I'm really proud of her. And I was just here. I was 17 and I was like, of course I'm coming to New York. There's no question. So soon after my arrival, I started my makeup school. I went to Makeup Forever, spent half a year there, and very fortunately met people who were able to guide me into understanding of how to work on set and how to assist people, how to reach out to people, and how just, like, you know, the most basic things they didn't explain to us in school. They were able to give to me just a few tips, and that really propelled my career forward. Also, when I was, I think, 19, I did my first shoot for Vogue, actually with Stefania Chikalina.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes, one of your previous guests.
Yeah.
So it was really fast for me. And so it was 2 years working in beauty and fashion. And
right after school, you started to work and just to experience and try different things, what you like.
Yeah, that was super cool. It was just a fantastic experience that really, I feel like, helped me mature and helped me study with much more intention and curiosity and actual desire. So I went to do my bachelor's because I was like, you know what, if I don't leave now, I'll probably soon get signed with an agent and I will not get my bachelor's degree. Like, I wanted to do that. So I went to do art history and studio art, intentionally not trying to change my career, but rather like expand.
So you decided to pick up some more broad discipline.
Yes, exactly. So, and then on top of that, I added business too. So I had 2 majors and a certificate. And
congratulations.
and meanwhile I was in school, I was also doing makeup work, but on a smaller percentage of my time, of course. And yeah, then that business experience, particularly one business class that needed me to come up with a business idea, was actually the beginning of MaquillAR. So I kind of was forced to put this on paper, and then here we are.
Wow, so it's actually when it happened, when you had this first time the idea to create this MaquillAR?
So at first it wasn't called that. It was, yeah, precisely the entrepreneurship class that we needed to make a pitch for, and I couldn't find an idea, and I was already making filters just for fun, and I just was like, at some point, of course, this is obvious. This needs to become a business. And even though at first I thought I'll just become a digital makeup artist and it will complement my actual makeup work and it will support my like classical makeup career in giving me the edge, then I realized I just needed to move faster. So that was something that helped me, put business together and understand how it will work for me. So it became a studio.
Wow. So I love that the school class encouraged you to create your own project, and now you're just, wow, rock and roll.
That's right.
Yeah, that's cool. And how many years is the studio actually?
It's about 2 years now.
2 years, and wow, so many impressive portfolio, so many projects
Thank
for 2
you.
years. Great.
We're trying to move fast, yes. It's exciting because it's just like such a fast-paced market.
Yeah, it is like
fast.
And it changes like every couple months. There is something new comes up in this world.
Yeah.
And you just always need to be on the top of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel like that these 2 years previously before starting college really helped you to? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because
yeah.
it's not typical actually. Sometimes people right after the school they go to college and they really don't understand what they want to do, and sometimes after that they pursue some different career path.
Yeah.
Or it's just some disciplines that they just study and they don't put hands on that later.
Yeah, so I think I would honestly suggest everyone to do that if that was a possibility, because if you want to become a doctor, there's no way you can just go and practice before you start studying.
Yeah.
So if there is a way for you to first focus on your passion and do something for a year or two, I would totally recommend that, because it makes you a much more mature person. And once you're in school, you don't only see your path clearer, but you just like want to study because you haven't been in a classroom for a while, and all this knowledge is golden to you. It's not something that you've been carrying on your bag for 10 years and you just can't wait to get out of there. So I think like getting a bit hungry for knowledge and getting to see the value of it, how it came to me too. Like once I started studying, like I realized that makeup wasn't precisely giving me everything I wanted. Like I wanted more intellectual stimulation, so that's why I started my business.
Like in the media, right?
Yeah, it was just like when you are a makeup artist, you were creatively challenged, and you work with teams, so you have a fantastic social experience and you go to different places. All of those are completely unique and fantastic and made me so happy. Those components of work are great, but at the same time, you're not really the main actor. Like if you're building a metaverse, you're thinking of everything. But if you're doing makeup, of course it's a personal communication and it's amazing energetically, but intellectually there's not much you're putting out there. There's not much challenge on that aspect. So some people do find it outside of their career, but I just tried to combine it.
Mm-hmm. So actually you want to AR experience and just amazing.
Yeah.
Is there any books would you recommend to someone, or maybe the books which really inspired you to go deeper to your career path, to augmented reality or to entrepreneurship journey? Is there, or maybe podcast? Actually, podcast is, it's top 2 things.
Actually, I don't have any AR books, but there's one book I absolutely love, and I thank you for asking this question. I definitely would recommend a book by Chris Voss. He's FBI negotiator, and the book is called Never Split the Difference.
All right.
And I actually have a story to come with that as well. So that book I also discovered in the beginning of Corona. I was in one of my business classes. I did marketing, and it was a group project, as it often is in such classes. And we were doing a fashion-related business that we did a marketing plan for. And because it's not a fashion school, Hunter College is not a fashion-focused school, I felt like I needed to guide the group. I thought I knew more because I worked in fashion.
And you had already Vogue photo shoot.
Well, yeah, so I felt like my opinion is valuable.
Yeah.
So the result was I got kicked out of the group.
Really?
Yes. And I realized no matter how right you are, no matter how experienced you are, if you can't inspire people, if you can't make them heard, if you can't make them feel valued, and if you can't make them feel included, it's worthless.
It doesn't
like
work.
Your ideas don't work, you're not going to bring people with you. So that book really made me a better listener and better communicator, and somebody who is able to really kind of transform the situation in a way that benefits not only me but others as well, an ability to see and empathize towards others in order to achieve the general benefit, for everyone.
That's awesome. Actually, Marie Carr, we had also interview with PR manager, and she's focused on beauty also.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, she advised this book as well.
Oh, she
did? It's actually in my list. Yeah. I am collecting books from the guests, and I have like already so many books.
Let me then do another layer to it. So the way
one?
I did it, I would suggest you to really practice it, but not on your loved ones. So there is,
because it's like sometimes close to manipulation.
I feel like if a person sees you constantly repeating your words, there is one tactic, like mirroring, like just saying the same thing over and over again, and they're going to be like, you're either becoming a robot or you're manipulating into something.
It's not good.
And I think it's not about, and the practice is really about getting comfortable with transforming the way you speak and transforming the way you hear people. So you have to do that. But doing it on people that you have fragile relationships with is especially tough. So definitely this may harm your relationships. So I would say if you want to go into the group that does those practices for free, everyone can DM me on Sofi_NYC, SOFI_NYC, and I will get you connected with a group of people who do almost daily lessons and practice that.
Oh, really? There are groups which practice different skill sets on...
Precisely, Chris was.
Precisely this
book.
book.
Yeah. So
I've heard about this actually in Russia before when I was, and actually I need to definitely...
Yeah, so I don't think you need to see it as manipulation, but it's rather ability to become a higher person in a situation and guide everyone towards collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you may think you're getting what you want, but you're not forcing anybody into it. If you're able to bring everyone on the same page, sometimes in the process of that, you're actually changing what you want. You think you're smart and you're going to manipulate everyone? No. Like once you actually start listening, you understand that this is not what you thought it was, and it really turns into a collaboration, and you find a unique solution to the situation. Either it's a problem with your colleague, or you're actually negotiating somebody out of being killed by a kidnapper. We did those practices too. It's called like 1 minute or she dies.
Yeah.
It's very intense and really fun, especially if it's not real. So yeah, I think this type of things are definitely a great way to get you into it and really understand that you're not manipulating people, you're actually just becoming a better communicator.
Yeah, awesome, love it. I need to read this book, and thank you for mentioning this one. Yeah, any podcasts?
Actually, yes, there's one in Russian. It's called "Либо выйдет, либо нет." It's about
it will happen or not.
Yeah, but it's just in Russian, so you wouldn't be able to find it if you're an English speaker. And it's a book about a podcast studio who are trying to make it, and they're also talking about how their business is growing and what kind of challenges they are facing. Plus, they also did a season where they did business pitches, and a few investors kind of destroying all of those young entrepreneurs. It's extremely useful to anybody starting the business.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
What would you advise to someone who's just thinking about starting the career in beauty and AR, and who'd love to do something you did? What will be your advice?
So my advice, I think, wouldn't necessarily answer your question because I feel like trying to copy somebody's career path would be a losing strategy. I think the winning strategy, rather, what I would advise people to adapt is the freedom of shifting where you're going. And so, for instance, like if you're a makeup artist, if you're doing bridal makeup, you don't have to just do that for the rest of your life. You can be an editorial makeup artist. If you're doing makeup in an editorial world, you don't have to just think about trends and aesthetics. You can become a philosopher of arts, studying art history. But if you're an art historian, then you don't have to feel like doing business is too low. And you can go and try to explore a completely different environment, working with communication, sales, and brand building. So I think the most important thing is like, don't feel like you need to get focused on one career path and go as hard as possible on that. Like, especially if you're young and if you're in the beginning, choose ways that just attract you. You have an idea, you think it's better than what you're doing now, go there. Like, you are feeling like you've exhausted your potential in this workplace, don't have the fear. Of course, you need to be smart about the finances, but try to get rid of the fear of losing that particular place, because if you're not fully happy and energized, you're not taking the most out of it. What is most valuable in the beginning of your career is learning. And like, I left makeup after 2 years doing it, and you may think, oh, what would others say? Would they say that she didn't do so well, so that's why she decided to leave? Like, nobody's told that to me. Like, nobody thinks that. I go to art history degree and they're like, you should consider masters. I'm like, no, I'm switching in a completely different way. Like, nobody really judges you. You shouldn't therefore judge yourself for making such shifts. And it's okay to give something up, but like, don't give up when you want to give up, because this is the moment where you actually need to stay, and because this is the moment where you learn. But when you feel like you're on your horse, you're high up, and things become a little too simple, then maybe it's the time to go and, shift everything. And it's like, ability to learn from different perspectives also gives you this edge and ability to position yourself in a unique way. And while you feel like it's actually hard to do that, to like scratch everything and start over, it's actually simpler. Like, you wouldn't believe me, but my business, everyone tells me, I've never seen anybody do this. Like, this is so unique, and this opens so many doors for me. And why? Because I positioned myself through my unique skills and my unique knowledge in a place that nobody else have positioned themselves. So my advice would really be to find that unique place of yours, and through this variety of experiences, really go to the places that make you happy and have fun, and learn through that. And those unique skills then will build who you truly are, and will give you so much strength and freedom and confidence in being able to be free in what you work on.
Wow, I love it totally. It's like to be authentic and find some uniqueness collaborating with other projects and with other dimensions and with other mediums and with brands which you will not consider to collaborate with. Like, for example, it can be something really unexpected, right? And actually, this is the way you do, and it's amazing. I wish we'll see your project on the bigger screens and more. Like, you already do,
Thank you. It may be completely different in 2 years, actually.
Yeah, that's actually, we'll see. I love your mindset. Yeah. What's the definition of success?
Oh. So did she actually do it? Did she make it? I think that's a great question. And for me, defining success is not through actual accomplishments. Like, as I mentioned, you can land your dream project on week 1, right? And then what is next? And then after that week, you may be completely unsuccessful with landing projects for a couple of months. So did you actually make it on that first try? You did, but what is the definition of making it if it's not lasting? I feel like being in a place that makes you happy with your work and makes you feel like you're in control and makes you feel like you created the environment, the energy around yourself that suits you specifically, is making it. Because there will always be something external that comes to disrupt it. And it's just kind of about that ability to deal with the disruptions that just kind of allow you to carry forward and feel at ease with anything that comes your way, you know?
Yeah, love it.
Thank you.
I wish you, I wish you the success, to reach that success, what it is for you.
Yeah, so I think this is currently the challenge I'm facing. Like, am I truly happy? Like, while you're working with great brands and having fun, like, is this what I'm looking for? Like, this is a big question that I don't yet know the answer to, and that's why the game is really fun. Like, you're trying to feel it out. You are discovering yourself. You don't yet know where you actually want to end up.
Yeah, and you have the whole life ahead to experiment with different projects and different realities. AR, augmented reality.
Absolutely.
This is what's,
if not in this world, maybe in that world.
Maybe in another world, and the future is exciting with all the technology which is coming in. Wow, I'm sure like people building like worlds, even like the big brands right now, like the L'Oreal, they started the game like in Metaverse, and other brands. Actually, just quick question: did you ever consider to work for the brand, like to be part of the big company, not working on your own project, but just in that way?
I absolutely have. I hardly ever applied though, because I feel like the learning aspect of things is really exciting to me. So now I'm in this very engaging environment that challenges me every day, and I kind of don't want to give this up, because I know being in a brand gives you stability and safety, and in a way that is great, and maybe one day I will want that. And I definitely, there's so many brands I love, but the freedom that I am privileged to have right now, I think should be utilized. So maybe I will have another idea in a week or a month, but right now I'm sticking to this path, and you know, my mind changes all the time, so maybe I'll have a different.
I mean, the definitions of success, it's always the current statement. It's a current definition of success. Of course, it can grow to different things. Thank you so much. I love our interview, our conversation. Thank you so much for being with me today and sharing so many inspiring stories from your life, from your business, from your entrepreneurship journey, and from the beauty and fashion world.
Thank you so much, Daria. And you know, like,
how people can find you.
Yeah, exactly. So if anybody wants an advice or just to chat, you can find me on at Sofi_NYC, SOFI_NYC. That would be the easiest way.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out Sofi for expert opinion. And see you next week. Thank you.